So we're honored to be back with the friend of the show, Brigadier General retired of the Israeli Defense Force, Yossi Kuperwasser. Thank you, sir, for coming on today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I wanted to get direct from the source what's happening in country. We've obviously had 2 weeks of war with Iran. Israel's been very effective degrading their systematic military capability. And you had the U.S. strike Fordo and other sites last night. Where do you see the conflict at this moment?
Well, I think that we reached a point where everybody understood, or at least those who are important understood, that the diplomatic effort to convince Iran to accept a deal that would make everybody confident that Iran doesn't move towards having a nuclear weapon was exhausted and failed. And since Iran was so close to having the capability to produce those weapons, there was a need to take military action in order to stop Iran before it's too late. And we started that 10 days ago, so 9 days ago. And we did what we could do in those 9 days, quite a lot. We made sure that the Iranians lose their air defenses so that we shall have freedom of action above Iran. And then we took care of many of the facilities of the nuclear project, including the scientists that lead this project. And we took care of some of the capabilities of the Iranians when it comes to ballistic missiles, production and operations. And there are certain elements of the project that for us are more complicated to deal with because the Americans have a better capability. And we were witnessing the Americans taking this mission upon themselves after they tried another attempt to convince the Iranians to adopt a diplomatic way out of it and allowed the Europeans to conduct some negotiations with the Iranians to see if there's a change in the Iranian position, and there was no change. So the Americans realized that there's no diplomatic option. And therefore, together with the concern about what would happen if the problem is not going to be solved and if the Fordo facilities remains in the hands of the Iranians, they decided to take action and to hit the Fordo facility, the Isfahan facility. Actually, what they did in Isfahan is less the facility itself, but more the site that was built over there underground in order to host the store the highly enriched uranium that the Iranians have already produced, and to hit the Natanz enrichment facility as well. This was done with Tomahawks, as you know, and Fordo with heavy GBU-57 bombs. And we'll see what the Iranians go from here. They have not said that they're going to capitulate now and accept the deal. That's definitely not what they're heading. They can retaliate against American forces in the region. They can do all kinds of things. They can try to close the Hormuz Straits, through which much of the oil in the world is exported from the Arabian Peninsula and from Iran. They can do a lot of things, but they have not yet decided what to do. They definitely are going to take action in the diplomatic field, in the UN, Security Council, and so on and so forth, with the support of Russia and China. But I don't think this is going to lead anywhere because the United States sits there, so it's not going to be effective. And we'll see. I'm sure that parallel to the military reaction that the Iranians are considering now, they do consider as well the potential of negotiations and some diplomatic activities. That's why Arakchi, the foreign minister, went to Russia. And I'm sure that the Americans are also aware of the role Russia can play here. So, and Putin spoke with President Trump just a couple of days ago. So I'm sure that there are going to be efforts to solve the problem. From our point of view, from an Israeli point of view, we are not in a hurry, but because we still have targets to deal with in Iran, especially those belonging to the missile project, ballistic missile project. But we wouldn't mind putting an end to it if there is a good deal. If there's a deal that guarantees that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons in the future, that's good. I think on top of that, what's important, what's happened with the American attack, following the Israeli attack, is that we have began a new situation in the Middle East, where the Iranians realized that a military option is viable, is credible, because their assumption was until recently that it's not going to happen, that they can move all the way to having the capability to produce nuclear weapons and maybe even produce them without anybody doing anything about it. Because everybody was deterred, everybody had all kinds of second thoughts about whether they should do it and whether it's going to be successful and what's going to happen in the future, and would it be something that would lead to a regime change? Do we want a regime change? And a lot of question marks were before us. And can we absorb the Iranian reaction? So there were a lot of questions put forward to those who decided. But now we have already decided, both us and the Americans have already decided we are ready to rumble. And that's a new situation that is clear to them, to the Iranians, that if they start a new effort to build a nuclear weapon, we shall not wait until the last moment as we did this time, because this was a last-minute operation. Yes. But we shall take action way before that, and the Iranians should remember that.
Let me ask you, there's talk the Iranians are saying that they moved some of the radioactive or nuclear weapons, I guess, equipment and material to another site, and everything's fine. Is there any credibility to that, or would you see that from an intelligence perspective?
Well, I'm not sitting anymore in the intelligence, so I cannot say if this is credible or not. It makes sense. I remember Saddam Hussein, when he was worried about an American attack, he took some of his assets and put it elsewhere. That's a possibility. And the problem with the Iranians was that when Israel attacked them, they were surprised.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
We recommend you take this moment to do what we're about to do, which is enjoy an Alp.
We didn't prepare for that. But the American attack was brewing for some time. They could have taken some steps to minimize the damage done. But it's, if they have the uranium part of it at least, and don't have the capability to turn it into a nuclear weapon, it's a problem. We should deal with that, but it's not as bad as if they have the material and the capability to turn it into a nuclear bomb.
Yes. Okay.
So what we do is we deprive them from some of the enrichment facilities, from the conversion facilities, and from the ability to produce centrifuges. If you add all of that together and the damage we did to the weaponization project, the damage we caused to the scientists themselves, it's not going to be easy for the Iranians to resume the activity on the nuclear project. And if they do, we are here. If they do, we can resume our activities as well.
Let me ask you, there seems to be some impacts from Iranian missiles almost on a daily basis. Not many, but some. What's the impact on the population? Is there any strategic value to these impacts? And how do you prevent that going forward?
Well, we do a huge effort to hit the launchers and the missiles and the missiles production facilities. It's a huge effort. Very impressive results, but not satisfactory results nevertheless, because we want to see that threat being totally dismantled. This is not the situation yet, but the strategic impact of what the Iranians are doing is very limited. It's very painful for the people who are hit, of course, but we have 24 casualties. But it doesn't mean anything strategically. We knew this is part of the deal. We knew this is going to happen, and we are taking care of the threat with our air defenses and ballistic missile defense. it could have been much worse had we not have this capabilities. So all in all, it doesn't have a strategic impact.
Let me ask about the economy. I mean, you're somewhat locked down now with education, work efforts. As that continues, will that impact Israel negatively in a big way, or are you prepared for that as well?
We are prepared for that as well. The economy functions. It's like Corona times, COVID time. Everybody's working from home, and since most of our economy is high tech and things like that, it doesn't matter.
I see.
Definitely, when it's going to last, if it's going to last, I don't know, up to a month, it's nothing. Maybe after a month, it's going to be felt more. But what is really critical for the functioning of the state keeps working, and so it's a minor issue for the time being. As a matter of fact, the stock exchange in Tel Aviv is skyrocketing ever since we began the military operation. The stocks are rising and rising and rising.
What about the missile launchers? You mentioned those. What percentage do you think you've destroyed at this point? I've read half, maybe more. What are your thoughts?
We destroyed something around a little bit more than half of the launchers. The number of missiles we destroyed is less. I mean, they used something like 20% of the missiles, a little bit more than 20% was used already. And we hit maybe some 20% more. But they still have missiles. It's not that we managed to bring about a situation that says that they don't have the capability to launch missiles. And they are using the missiles in a cautious way. They don't launch all of them in one shot because they want to be prepared for a long war. So they launch something like 30, maybe less missiles in a salvo. And that's enough to hit several targets because something like 5 to 10% of the missiles manage to go through the ballistic missile defense. And if you they launched already something like 500. So it means that something between 25 to 30 to 50 you have managed to penetrate. And that's more or less the amount that we have of impacts in our territory.
How is your store of launcher or projectiles from the launchers missile defense? How is that going? I mean, there's some concern about that.
We knew what we were to expect, and I hope we took the necessary precautions and preparations for what was coming.
Yeah,
it was us that began the attack, not the Iranians. So we definitely knew when and what to expect. And I believe that we have enough interceptors.
What would you like the world to know about what's happening in the Middle East?
I think what's important for the world to know is that, as I use the words of Chancellor Merz, who said that Israel is doing the dirty job. Yes, we are doing the dirty job, and we do it because it's a threat to Israel. And the Iranian nuclear project and the ballistic missiles are first and foremost a direct threat to Israel. But we do it also on behalf of the free world, and because the radical fanatic regime of Iran is a threat to the region, is a threat to the world, it's a threat to stability and to security. And that's why I think that we should get the support of the world. I think by and large we do get it, much more than one could have expected, and it's good. Definitely the American support is unbelievable, and it's beyond just support. It's direct intervention and involvement. It's wonderful. I hope that other countries of the free world will adopt the same attitude. But it's definitely clear that while we stand together with our allies on that issue, the Iranians stand alone. Nobody supports the Iranians. Nobody is extending them a hand. And for good reasons, because the Iranians are a threat to stability, are fanatics, and they do not deserve our support. And that's if this is going to be the case, I think that we should be able to form a better Middle East, a more stable and more prosperous Middle East that would benefit the entire world, stability and security.
General, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and have you back as things progress. Thank you.
Thank you too.